Thanks for staying with us. There was a welcome development for the St. James Police today as they made a significant discovery of weapons and ammunition. In this case, they also made a number of arrests and seized paraphernalia linked to lottery scamming.
We need to get the guns.
Superintendent Gary McKenzie, in charge of operations in the St. James Police Division, where scamming is fueling the easy purchase of guns and ammunition, and where 90% of murders being committed in the parish are said to be not only gun-related, but they are hits.
These criminals who purchase and have these guns, they do contract killing. So family members who know that their cousins, their nephews, their sons, and daughters too, when they have firearms and ammunition, this is not something that you should be comfortable with, because these guns and ammunition are taking people's lives, and they will take your own as well.
That's why a raid of several houses and bushed areas in Anchovy on Saturday, which led to the arrest of 3 persons and the seizure of 231 rounds of ammunition, is a dent. 64.38 rounds, 38, 7.62, 25.44, 31.40, 1 shotgun cartridge, and 72.42 rounds, as well as these weapons.
2 rifles. One is an AK-47 rifle. The other one is a Action Arms Uzi semi-automatic rifle. And we also have a .45 Masterpiece Arms Mach 11 submachine gun, as well as a Magnum, a .44 Magnum pistol.
11 lead sheets also found confirms the police's intelligence that persons are busy building their scamming rings.
As long as there are guns around, as long as their family members, relatives, and friends are purchasing firearms, then we will continue to have killings.
Up to this evening, the Portland police were searching for the suspect in a fatal stabbing which was committed today. The name of the victim has not yet been ascertained. However, the police have identified a suspect. The individual was stabbed along Johns Lane on the outskirts of Port Antonio and later died at the Port Antonio Hospital. The family of an aspiring model, 26-year-old Desiree Gibbon from New York, who was found with her throat slashed last Sunday on an isolated road near a resort town, have come to the island to retrieve her body. We have more in this report from CBS New York.
The mother of an aspiring model from Queens is searching for answers after her daughter was found dead on the island of Jamaica. 26-year-old Desiree Gibbon left her Hollis home in October and was staying at the family's resort in Montego Bay with the hopes of making a documentary. Her body was found Sunday, 4 miles away on the side of the road, her throat slashed. Andrea Gibbon says her daughter made friends on the island and insists she would never go out at night alone.
My belief is that it was just a cold, calculated, planned out murder. It wasn't a random act of violence. It is somebody she knew. It is somebody she trusted. And it's somebody who betrayed her.
And just about now, members of the church community are still gathering in Halfway Tree Square, St. Andrew, for the National Day of Fasting, Prayer and Repentance. On Wednesday, the Pri-minister endorsed the day, which is organized by the Jamaica Umbrella Group of Churches. This event will also be held in Sam Sharp Square, Montego Bay, tomorrow, December 3. Church leaders will guide the activities, which will get underway at 7 o'clock on both evenings. The government on Friday broke ground for work to commence on the new Fortress Energy gas-fired combined heat and power plant at Jamalco in Clarendon. As Nika Lewis reports, the project is expected to hire over 400 locals and reduce the cost of electricity.
The move taken by Jamaica on Friday to finally commission work on the new Fortress cogeneration plant at the Jamalco refinery.
Generation plant will provide 94 megawatts of load capacity to the national grid. But you will agree with me that what will be most important to the community immediately is that during the construction of the plant, 450 persons will be hired.
Further adding to the prosperity of the nation, according to Prime Minister Holness, on the heels of biting responses by members of the public and the opposition over an exchange concerning the National Identification Bill just passed.
Major component of the project will include a floating storage and regasification terminal in the Portland Bight protected area, the installation of a pipeline from the Rocky Point port to the Jamaica refinery, the construction of the natural gas-fired power station at this location, and the construction of an electricity distribution network to deliver power to the national grid. This development signifies the power of win-win partnerships with the benefits including for Jamaica, a bauxite aluminium plant, an industry with which the Jamaican economy has had deep historical ties.
Among the other benefits to this project will be a reduction in electricity cost to Jamaicans and the deal available to the power company JPS.
Through the power purchase agreement which they will negotiate, they will also have, the country will benefit with reduced emissions, but JPS will certainly see lower cost, and that lower cost will cascade to the consumers. Jamaica as a whole will benefit. Our economy will benefit, clearly. It will position Jamaica as a country that has not just diversified but reliable and affordable energy.
Nika Lewis, CVM Live.
Businesses currently operating without the required Natural Resources Conservation Authority, National Environment and Planning Agency issued permits and licenses are encouraged to become compliant. A compliance drive was announced by the regulatory body starting yesterday and continuing through the month of December. Chief Executive Officer at NEPA, Peter Knight, warned that if persons remain non-compliant after the drive, the NRCA NEPA will commence court action. Under the NRCA NEPA compliance drive, business operators are encouraged to move swiftly to apply for 2016-2017 beach license, all relevant instruments to include air quality license, license for the construction, operation of sewage treatment plants, and environmental permits. Data presented at yesterday's World AIDS Day Breakfast Forum indicate that while there are reductions in HIV prevalence, many Jamaicans continue to ignore the pleas for condom usage or having one sexual partner. Some of the findings are said to be worrying.
Despite a reduction for 2017 in HIV prevalence among Jamaicans being 1.6%, down from 1.8%, there is still a far way to go.
The prevalence amongst our STI clinic attendees is currently at 3.3%. Homeless persons, 13.8% in 2015. We do have to give some focus to this population, in particular homeless women. Prevalence was 26%. Men who have sex with men, the data is a little old, and we should have some data by mid-2018, which I'm hoping show some difference in that, in a reduction in that area. And the inmates, again, some older data, 2011, so we do need to do some research within that space.
Dr. Skies made the revelation at the World AIDS Day Breakfast Forum on Friday as civil society groups gathered to chart a new path to end HIV stigmatization, prevalence, and celebrate the successes in healthcare and treatment to date.
We're reducing those who are unaware of their status. but insufficient condom use and multiple partnerships continue. We have had the conversation since morning around stigma and discrimination and the impact that is having on the epidemic and our gender issues that we face within our country.
The findings also indicated that new cases were mostly identified in major towns and along the tourist belt. Another revelation was that young people continue to ignore the pleas for condom usage and monogamy.
All parishes have reported cases, and 1 in 4 of those cases, the 30 to 39 age group, and half of them between 20 and 39 years of age. Those are young people. We have to have our conversations with our young persons, and the risk factors, as was noted before, multiple partnerships, insufficient condom use. A lot of persons give a history of STIs.
Nika Lewis, CVM Live.
In this update, the November 30, 2017 voters list has been published with the names of 1.9 million registered voters. 19,500 persons were added to the list, while the names of 2,398 electors who are no longer eligible to vote were removed, including 1,469 dead electors. The previous list was published on May 31 this year with 1,088 million names. Identification cards for voters added to the November 30 voters list are scheduled to become available by mid-December and should be collected by electors at their respective electoral office of Jamaica constituency office. The ID cards, like all current elector registration ID cards, will be valid until December 31, 2019. More than 1,000 Jamaicans trained by the Heart Trust NTA participated in the graduation ceremony this week that sought to celebrate the graduates on becoming marketable professionals in the technical and vocational areas. The theme for the ceremony, Waves of Change, Oceans of Opportunities.
As a nation, Jamaica has had issues with our educational outcomes over the years. Our results in the CSEC exams do not measure up to those of our Caribbean neighbors, especially in maths. According to a Heart Trust NTVET report at the turn of the century, nearly 10,000 youth leave secondary school after grade 9. The fact is, 15 to 16-year-olds are still immature and not ready to benefit from training as they lack basic academic preparation. And you know, because you've seen it, when you pass the corner, so many of them have a hand-middle problem.
The Southeastern Region 1 activity saw students receiving certification in a number of areas, including commercial food preparation, housekeeping, geriatric care, food and beverage services, fashion, construction, and motor vehicle repair.
Your employability and marketability are now available to CARICOM countries and the world. With increased competencies and higher standards of performance, you are far more acceptably able and ready to fill the niche and gaps that are available across the globe.
NCB Financial Group Limited is acquiring a majority stake in Clarion Group Limited, which owns Clarion Bank based in Hamilton, Bermuda. NCB will acquire a 50.1% majority stake in CGL. The transaction has received approval of the Bank of Jamaica and a letter of no objection from the Bermuda Monetary Authority. Final completion of the transaction is subject to the approval of the Minister of Finance. According to NCB President and Group CEO Patrick Hilton, Bermuda is one of the world's premier financial jurisdictions, and their acquisition of a majority stake in Clarion is aligned with their regional growth strategy and focus on continuing to enhance shareholder value. This is CVM Live. We go to a break ahead of news from overseas.